Hey guys, welcome back to my art channel. If you're new, hi, I'm May. I make digital fluid art and digital pour art with cells, and today we're going to be looking at how to do stamped cells on IbisPaint. And if you haven't heard of IbisPaint, it's a free program that you can use on Android and iOS devices, and there's a free and paid version that you can get in the Play Store. But if you already have it, let's get started. And once you have your IbisPaint open, we're going to start with a canvas of 2400 by 1680 with a DPI of 600. And then we're going to shrink those edges down, like so. And before we can do our stamp cells, we've got to create our digital pour image. And today I thought we'd do some blues and greens. That would be pretty soothing. So feel free to screenshot the screens, so if you want to follow along exactly, or you can pick whatever color palette you like. And then picking a brush. I haven't picked a brush yet either. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I always find if you're going to start with a black background, or even a light background, always put your background color down and play with the brushes, so that way you can see how the paint is gonna, if it's gonna be dull or vibrant, or that'd be a cool calligraphy brush. So I don't think that one's gonna work for what we want. So many brushes to choose from. And they all kind of create their own different techniques and textures. So that's why I always end up playing with 4 or 5 brushes before I end up picking one that I ultimately like. I think we've done acrylic and gouache before. I also like trying to do different ones for each one, so that we can kind of get an idea of what some of them look like. Let's try flat brush reel. Let's see what that one looks like. Very swipey. This one might be interesting. As you can see as well, it has a size limitation. Again, very easy to fix. All you do is go off to your settings on the right here and just turn that max thickness up. And woohoo! No more size restrictions! Yay! And I think we'll start laying our dark colors first. Kind of do everything in an overlapping kind of wave pattern without dragging my canvas everywhere. Overlap those greens. I find blue and green such soothing colors. Looking pretty seaweed-like. Like seaweed wisping in the ocean. Actually, I'm going to take a little bit of white and very gently just place it in a few areas like so. Just pretty interesting. And then I was thinking I might want to do a bit of a blurred look today. I find when you blur the canvas, it kind of just gives a bit of a softer look, just kind of pretty. So we're just going to go off to the left to the Gaussian blur, and not necessarily full, but about 20. Looks pretty good. Just kind of soften it up just a little bit. And now we're going to make our digital pour image. Go into our filters, back off to the right, start with wave. Get really pulling those colors together. And again, to get rid of that white border, just go into transform and perspective form and pull off those edges like so. So we're looking very relaxing. Then we're going to use our ripple and fix it, because on our last digital fluid pour we were doing some small ripple edits, so we're going to have to bring back our radius out. Let's do the middle. Like so. really a little interesting. Like so. Pretty trippy. Let's see what polar coordinates. I think I like it before. Sometimes polar coordinates look good, other times I prefer more the rippled kind of look. And then we're going to go into our special pen and drag it and edit it just a little further so that way it doesn't look like just a ripple from a pebble being thrown into a pond. And make it look like those edges are being tilted and falling off the edge of the canvas. Like so. Nice, I find my brush is fairly leggy. But again, that could be the size that I'm working with as well. I know IbisPaint is known for having its lagging issues. If you find it gets really, really bad, you might have to uninstall and reinstall, and it usually kind of fixes it. Mine's not too bad right now. But even when once it is working fairly smoothly, it is a fun program to play with. And hopefully one of these days they'll fix that issue. But for a free program, and having to watch just a few ads, it's not too bad. Especially creating some wild digital art. Sorry if you can hear my dog groaning in the background. She's attempting to get comfortable on the bed we have on the desk here. Cool. And once you have your digital pour image that you like, creating your stamped images are using templates that I've already pre-created. So keep in mind, if you want to do something similar, you will have to either find on Google or find your own or create or draw your own templates to use for this, unfortunately. And unlike Procreate, IbisPaint unfortunately does not have an option for you to import your own stamp or your own grain to create your own brushes. I hope in the future they do eventually let us create our own brushes and import our own images to create them, because it would make this doing stamp cells a little bit easier than how I have to do them now, but it still works out fairly well. And when you do your stamped images, you're going to want to do them black and white. So for example, all the images you see here, I created myself and hand drew. And I usually pick a few and see how they look and edit them from there. But like I said, working with black and white is the easiest. The white is where the cells will stay, and the black is where you'll see the digital fluid pour underneath. And sometimes it can take me a while to kind of find one that I like. But because we're doing, like that one, not feeling it. I think I have one that kind of looks like water. It's kind of giving me ocean vibes. And that kind of reminds me of, and these, all my patterns I've drawn are continuous pattern cells, because on Procreate it makes it easier to have it as a continuous pattern. But what I do for these is all I have to do is zoom it in really, really large, and then it will create just one of those little cell blocks, which is pretty cool. And then once you've imported your image that you like or that you've created yourself, you're going to hit cancel on the extract line drawing. And how we get it to show just the cells with our digital pour image underneath is we're going to go into our magic wand, and you're going to want to tap on, well, if it stayed in my magic wand, you're going to tap in an area where it's white, and then this little icon over here where it looks like two boxes inverted with the two little circling arrows, you're going to want to click that, and then we're going to hit our erase icon. And make sure, I usually have mine on airbrush so I can airbrush areas, but digital pen is usually a good one for erasing because it's pretty quick, and this one also has a size limitation. So you just go into settings and bring it all the way up. And then we're going to start erasing. And don't be scared, it looks like it's erasing everything, but it's not, because once we let go, it's going to leave those white cells behind and get rid of any of the dark areas. But as I can see, once you remove it, it seems like it took away some of my white too much. So all you do to fix that is you have to go back and remove that selected area. And on the wand, you're going to want to go into settings. And under strength and expansion, you're going to want to bring it up just a little bit. So that way it gets all the connecting little lines without kind of cutting them off. And same thing, you're going to want to hit that little icon off to the right here, the invert selection area. And then get your eraser, erase away. Oops, guess I clicked it. So if that happens, it's easy, just hit back and go back into your magic wand and hit it again. And then when you hit erase, it should do it the proper way. Like so. And then if you want to see to make sure if it didn't take away any of those little white lines, just to remove the selected area. And some of them got taken away, but overall it's not too bad. Any of the ones that I said, you can leave it like this and have it going across the whole screen, but today I'm going to edit it and have it kind of disappearing and bleeding into the digital fluid pour itself. But I do like to color the cells as well. So what you do to color them is you go back, so that way it's reselected again. You're going to go back into your magic wand and hit that invert area. So now it's concentrating on the white part itself and not on the background. And scroll all the way up into our brushes. We're going to grab our airbrush trapezoid 60% and start playing with some of the colors that were in our color palette. And coloring it in. I find having all white cells can kind of get a little boring. But what I love to do is I like to color it and then kind of do the neon colors and make it look like it's glowing. It's pretty cool. And then we can do the white over top and really get that glowing effect. And we can use the bloom feature and really make them glow, which is pretty cool. I'll show you two different ways that I like to play with my cells. So this is to get a very, and then once you have all the colors you like, we remove the selected area. And as you can see already, just having them colored gives a very trippy effect. And I find too, unfortunately, with the magic wand, when you go to erase them, it kind of creates a bit of a harsh edge. So to get rid of that, all I do is I go into my filters and go to Gaussian blur. Off to the left here somewhere. Here she is. And not fully, but just blur those edges a little bit. So that way it softens them. And if you find that you've lost a little bit of your opacity, you can just copy and paste that layer over top of each other. And as you can see already, brought back and then merge it down. And it brought back the color. It just softens it up a little bit so when you zoom in, it's not super, super pixelated and it kind of looks like it's merging with the background. And then from here, like so you can leave it like this and go into your special pen and kind of manipulate it. Or what I like to do, especially if I want to mix it with different cell techniques, I'll take my eraser and go back on trapezoid and start erasing certain areas. Just make it look like it's kind of bleeding from the digital pour image. And also that way too, so you don't lose all the details from your digital pour image. And you can kind of see it underneath a little bit better. And then if you find some of your lines didn't get picked up when erasing it, or using the magic wand, you can kind of erase those specific areas. Like so. Like I said, just gives a bit of a different texture. And then you can go back into your filters. And if you want your cells to stand out a little bit more than your background. Now where art thou? Mr. Bloom. There you are. You can already see the difference. It just makes them pop just a little bit more, that white. And then from there, you can merge it down. Once you like your placement, you can merge it directly onto your digital image and then go back into your filters and start manipulating it so that way it looks like it's moving with the paint underneath as well. So for example, we can give the whole thing a bit of a ripple texture with the wave like so. And to get rid of those white edges, just pull them off with the transform and perspective form. And then if you want to, the individual cells themselves, give them more of a unique ripple. You can use the ripple filter and drop your distortion and play with those wingdings. Such a funny little word. I don't know why they wouldn't just call it ripples, because it's the ripples. I don't know. Saying wingdings a ton is just kind of funny. And like I said, as you can see already, over the areas where we didn't erase, you can put a bit of a wave directly on those, just to give it a bit of a different texture. Pretty cool. Oops. Like so. And that's one way you can create stamped cells or lace cells or bloom cells on your digital fluid pour with IbisPaint. Another way I like to cover, I can't speak, but if we go back to before we merged it down, another way I like to play with these is using the water drop filter. Because if you don't want to necessarily color them, but you want them to mirror the colors that are underneath it, I love using the water droplet or water drop feature. And what you can do, oh, I think I'm on the wrong one. No, I'm on the right one. Okay. It looked like it was moving the background and not the cells. This does take a lot of playing with and getting used to it, I find. But once you get the hang of it, it's actually kind of awesome. And actually, what I tend to do, I haven't done this technique in a while, but I think you want to copy and then paste your cells that you have that you liked. Like so, you have 2 layers. And go back into your filters and start playing with them a little bit. Now, sometimes that doesn't work. Because the playing with the water droplet one is a bit finicky. It can take quite a bit of practice. But once you figure it out, you can get some pretty interesting cells. Nice, you can do it so it's just very transparent. Once you play with them quite a bit, you can kind of get, almost looks like water is sitting over top of them. It's pretty interesting. Like so. Like I said, it's very subtle, but it's a very interesting technique. And when you zoom in, it kind of looks like water almost sitting over top, which is pretty cool. But if you prefer how we had it before, There's so many different ways you can play with it with creating stamp cells. Honestly, the hardest part with the stamp cells is creating the cell patterns themselves and kind of getting things that you like and playing around with them. I find the best way for me is I'd create real acrylic pours and take photos of them and kind of redraw and learn how to draw how the cells work and kind of go that route and play with them. But that is until they allow you to create your own brushes on IbisPaint, that is the tedious part, is creating your own stamped images. Like so. I've never thought of selling them, but I don't know if that's something you guys would be interested in. I think I have 26 different patterns, and I have 26 brushes as well, because I've turned these into cell brushes on Procreate as well. But yeah, it's a fun technique if you want to take the time to draw the patterns and figure it out. And if you do, definitely tag me, because I'd love to see everybody's creations. And this is how you create stamp cells or lace cells with IbisPaint. It's tedious but fun, and it creates a very cool image. At least I think so. And yeah, so if you guys recreate any of these, like I said before, follow me on my socials and on Instagram so we can grow the digital acrylic pour or digital fluid art family and see everybody's cool creations. And yeah, and stay tuned for my tutorials. I have a playlist with all of these all in one, so that way it's kind of easy to find them all and kind of go through all the different techniques and practice and play with them. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!